Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. We hope you got all your combining done, your hay's in the barn, and you're ready for winter. So, today's video is about Al Bouchard, a rodeo he called The Gather, and a team of like-minded individuals that came together and put the show to an absolute awesome conclusion. We'd like to give you a call to action today. If you're having a rodeo in 2022 and you haven't already booked an announcer or some production, send us a message, give us a call. We'd love to chat to you about getting that done. And with no further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Al Bouchard and The Gather.
I'm Al Bouchard. I'm 19-time CFR qualifier. I own Rugged Rodeo Inc., Rugged Oilfield Services, and Rugged Transport. There's something, they say, what's that saying, Tim? Something about the outside of a horse is good for the inside of a man. Maybe. You know, truth really, when it comes down to it, I love horses. You know, I love horses, and it doesn't really matter what event they're in. You know, like I'll watch barrel racing, bronc riding, you know, polo, anything. If they're riding horses or driving horses, I love horses. And when you see a horse do what they can do at their best of the level, it makes my heart tick, right? Yeah, it's genetic. My dad loved horses. My grandpa loved horses. So it just kind of comes down to just what you're taught when you're a kid, I guess. I come up with the idea of put on The Gather mostly because I was sitting around and there was no rodeos, and I always wanted to have a rodeo, and I always wanted to be a stock contractor and a promoter, and there was just nobody doing it. And so I just thought, well, if nobody's going to do it, I guess I better.
So my name is Kimberly AUDET. This is my daughter Shaylee. The Gather itself, the name is a sentimental piece of Brooks history from the cattle drives that they used to have, but it was also a play on words based on what was going on in the world. And it was a gather for all of us, and the community members and the businesses supported us. The thing that set us aside from or apart from other events was there was no politics. It was a rodeo. Just a rodeo.
You know, it's old school rodeo is what it is. It's not, you know, all that frilly stuff, but it's entertaining, but yet it's back to the roots.
Hi, I'm DARREN ZIFFLE. I'm a former Canadian calf roping champion and a 10-time qualifier to the CFR. So initially, Al Bouchard, who started, this is his first rodeo as a producer and a stock contractor. And we grew up beside each other as neighbors, and I was glad when he asked me to be a part of it. I'm the arena director here just because we're old friends, and it's his first one. And Al and me had talked about years ago having a 1950 style rodeo. We're both competitors. He's a Canadian champion as well, but we both like everything about rodeo and the history and the tradition, and this was sort of Al's dream for a long time. This didn't happen overnight. And it means a lot to both of us. One of my favorite cowboys, one of my heroes is Phil Lyon, who's won the NFR average in the calf roping and bull riding in the same year. So this plays into exactly what is a passion for both me and Al, and hopefully many others.
Well, The Gather started with, when it first started, we had slack on Saturday at 8 o'clock in the morning. That's more or less all the overflow cowboys, that's where they went. Then we had ranch rodeo started, which is back to the roots of being rodeo, where rodeo came from. And then it started at noon, it went till 4 o'clock, and then the junior rodeo started, where all the kids, because the kids are the future of rodeo, so we brought them, involved them. And then at 8 o'clock we cracked off with a rodeo performance, and then we went fairly late, just bucking horses and roping.
It's important to me because this is where my kids got their start in rodeo, and where else would you take a junior kid to go in the calf scramble and the sheep riding and the junior breakaway? So the kids got to start somewhere.
Well, old school rodeos back to the roots, where it's not all fireworks and frills, and it's more about back to what the horses are and what they can do and what the cowboys can do, and the athleticism of both parties, and just back to where agriculture stems from. Rodeo and agriculture run together, and just by not forgetting where it come from is more or less what we were trying to do.
This is a great deal, really like down-home family feel. A lot of times my kids are playing sports, my wife's barrel racing, and I'm going somewhere else, and for once we can finally come here, all of us together, and my kids went in the kid rodeo, my wife barrel raced, and I got to rope and pick up, and I haven't done that since 2019, since before COVID, so to be able to come here and spend 3 days with my family doing what we love to do is fantastic.
I think what I'm trying to do with communities is to bring people to their towns, show what their towns have, the great things they have in their towns. Like there's a lot of towns that are really great in this province, and even all of Western Canada. There's great little towns everywhere that nobody even knows about them. And if you can bring, I don't know what the number is, but if you can bring 1,000 people into some little town that only has 1,000 people there, you double their population for a weekend, and it's good for their hotels. It's good for just to put their community on the map a little bit, and really I think that's what the biggest benefit to it.
Well, I think, Tim, what makes it important is that rodeo definitely has to keep going, and things need to keep evolving, and guys that want to start creating new events need the support, and need to start building them up and getting everybody involved. All that, like Al said, both ends of the arena really need to start working together and create. You got the ranch rodeo, everything, all aspects of it to create one big event. This is a great idea. Kaylee and I are both very, very passionate about the horses, so we compete and enter as many events as we can, and and picking up, and eventually we'll have young ones that are entering, and it really does. It's a great perspective to now see it from.
Like the gather, we tossed around when we were putting the gather together what type of cowboys and people we wanted at our production, and everybody was very adamant about they wanted everybody in the world, open to the world. Anybody that wanted to come enter a rodeo, they were allowed to come. We had guys from Oklahoma that couldn't get across the border that they wanted to come and compete at, just because it was an open rodeo and they just wanted to come. And but yet your local kid that wants to rope, he can come rope or compete in any event. And it's a lot of times when there's a pro rodeo, in my opinion, I love pro rodeos. I've made a living off going to pro rodeos, but they're just the elite competitors, the top of the line, like right up there, elite competitors that come to pro rodeo, and then willing to spend the money. They're willing to spend the money, and when you have an open rodeo, everybody can come. A guy that doesn't has a family and 3 kids, can't afford to be on the road all the time. They can still come, and they're good competitors, and they'll beat guys. It's really was actually, when you look at the first gather, who won the money, you'd be surprised. Like, just local ranchers won a lot of it, and I think it brings the community together a lot to cheer for the guys. You go to the UFA store and you're like, hey, I seen you at the rodeo this weekend, and you were competing, you did good. Of course, there's a flip side, and you sucked. But whatever.